welcome to Women's Cricket Chat. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Alexandra, Alex for short. Coming up on today's podcast, we've got former Scotland international cricketer, Olivia Rae. Now, Olivia Rae is a big mental health advocate and has set up Rae Cricket Coaching. During this podcast, Olivia talks candidly about her time as a Scottish international player and the highs and the lows that come with it. She also talks about having a good support system in place when going through these hard times.
So thank you so much for joining us today. And I guess the first place to start is, can you just introduce yourself from your own words?
Well, I'd start by saying my name, which is Olivia Rae, but most people call me Ollie, to be honest. I don't know whether you find, but in the cricket world, you always get a nickname and it tends to end with like an E at the end. I actually think that we could do some research on this and find out what nicknames in cricket are. But yeah, I am a cricket coach, cricket player, absolutely love the game. And really, what's really important to me as well is mental health and mindset. So I guess that's me.
So a good place to start as well is taking you back to your Scotland career. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you first get into the game and especially reaching that top level there?
Good question. I think always maintaining enjoyment of cricket has probably been the constant thing. I kind of fell into the game by chance when I was younger. I was playing around on the sidelines of my brother's cricket practice, just throwing a ball, catching it, and the coach said, get involved. And I never really looked back. And it's always been a hobby of mine. And I think what was difficult at the time, so just a little bit before I started playing for Scotland, was it didn't seem like it could be a career option. So it was always a case of studies and job, and then cricket, would be having to take a back seat as much as I would have liked it to not. So yeah, so when I actually started playing for Scotland, because I'd gone to do my masters at Edinburgh Uni, and I wanted to go to Edinburgh for my undergrad, but I didn't get in. So I found a way in eventually, and yeah, I've got some Scottish heritage. My dad's Scottish, and my grandparents on my dad's side. So I basically went to do my masters and got in touch with the Scotland team, and just said, yeah, really keen, and I got invited to a training session, and just from there, just worked hard and trained and played for Edinburgh Uni as well, and that's where it began.
What made you decide to play for Scotland? Because were you eligible to play for England or for Wales or anywhere else? So what made you decide to pick Scotland?
It's a very good question. I'm not really someone that really makes many conscious decisions. It's actually something I'm working on is actually maybe, planning for things and aiming for things a bit more, which to be fair I did do last year for the first time, which we can maybe address later on. But it wasn't like a conscious choice. I think I never allowed myself to really chase the dream of playing for England. I did have an England trial when I was 11 years old, and then I got a stress fracture in my back, which was a tough thing to happen as an 11-year-old, because I couldn't then do any sport for like a whole year, had to wear a back brace. And I think that probably in hindsight affected the way I sort of thought about cricket and aiming for things, because I learned very early on that it can get taken away. It wasn't a conscious thing, but I really do think on hindsight that's what was happening. So it was never like, I want to go and play for England, I want to go and play for Scotland. It's just I just want to play cricket. I want to play cricket anywhere that will have me, and I want to do my best, and let's see what happens. So that was the mindset I kind of had to adopt, really, if I'm honest.
So did you have many kind of role models or people who inspired you to perhaps go to Scotland to play there? Did you see any other women in the game at that time?
Good question. The fact that I'm having to wrap my brains is obviously a potential no, because you couldn't really see any women's professional. Even the England team was all behind closed doors, right? It wasn't televised or anything. So at that point, I was probably still watching men's cricket and getting my inspiration from them. I'm just trying to think. I didn't have any female cricket role models. It's the honest answer.
And just following up on that, I guess, what is the implications of that, do you think, for your career? So the fact that you couldn't see anybody doing what you then did, was that problematic? Or
I think it's probably why I might not have had that dream and might not have pushed myself to pursue a career as a professional, because it couldn't see it. And it is that saying that we see all the time, you can't be what you can't see. And I would say that was definitely the case for my life. I think one thing that has popped into my head, where it probably started to become a little bit more real, was because Danny Hazel was at my cricket club. So we trained together from under 11s up for Durham County. She obviously had a fantastic England career. And because I guess she was from my local community and I got to see her story, she went and played for Yorkshire, and she kind of chased that dream full on and head on. But she was unique in what she did. Also coming from the north of England, like at that time, majority of English cricketers were from the south. It was quite dominated in that sense. So I kind of was inspired by what she was doing, but it was still like that was really brave and really bold, and like really proud of everything that she's achieved. But I was still thinking I need to go and do all of these other things. Like I've got to have a career and that stability. So yeah, just wanted to add that in because that was, I mean, yeah, really impressive for those women of my generation that made it. Like what they had to do and is incredible.
Could you explain a little bit about what it's like growing up in the Northeast and how big cricket is there? Because I've heard it's big from a couple of friends from uni, but to sort of give our listeners the idea who may not even be from this country.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm from County Durham, and I'll just throw Ben Stokes straight in there. It's where Ben Stokes is from. So that's pretty much all I need to say. You know, he's an absolute legend, but of course it's also where Danny Hazel's from as well. So two fantastic English cricketers, Paul Collingwood as well. I mean, you could say that we do generate the best talent in cricket. I mean, that could be an argument. You know, throw me in there as well. Why not?
Just quickly as well, because part of my research I've spoken to those former players of the 70s, 80s, 90s, and quite a lot of those are Northerners. So I'm not sure what happened. Maybe there was a little blip in selectors or something and decided, because like you said, during that kind of era, late 90s, 2000s, it was kind of more, I always get it the wrong way around, Surrey or Sussex. Yeah, and I'm thinking it was definitely Sussex, because Georgia Adams raised the point as well, because she was saying like as a young teen when she was breaking through, it was like Caroline Atkins and I think Sarah Taylor was down there too. It was basically a huge lineup of England players. So
was she Sussex?
Who was that, sorry?
Holly Colvin?
Yeah, she definitely name dropped Holly Colvin, Georgia Elwes. I'm pretty sure it was Sarah Taylor, unless she was.
Yeah, Sarah Taylor she still plays for Sussex, so I'm assuming that's where she's always.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm having a bit of a moment today, I think. I've like brain's gone. I'm normally really good at remembering all of that kind of stuff.
Actually, you're not sleep deprived because you haven't been getting up. You're not as committed as Alex and I in watching cricket, so that's not an excuse.
I know.
Yeah, I'm a very dedicated England fan. Very dedicated.
I'm impressed you've managed to get up for 4 a.m.s every day.
Yeah, I mean, when you're on furlough and there's nothing to do, why not watch the cricket? But if we can get back to normality somehow with cricket, even if there's no fans in the ground, I will take that rather than what we had last year until about July, August time.
Yeah, completely. I'm just really liking that there's something to be excited about right now. And yeah, waking up for that first day at 4 a.m, I felt I had real purpose in that morning to do something and get excited. So that's my reason.
And back to you and less about us. So hopefully this is correct, because obviously online archives are always useless for women's sport, especially cricket, because the stats are never done correctly unless you're Hypercourse who has it nailed. And without people like that, we would be so lost. But you played for Scotland, is it 76 times? Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I'm saying it's correct because I go online to get the stats. So, I mean, yeah, let's go with it.
So what's been your kind of high points playing for Scotland? What memories do you have of the key moments for you there? Like, what was the absolute highs?
So getting to travel with cricket was always something that I look back really fondly. Yes, you get to go and experience new cultures, which is fantastic. But also that, I think as a team, when you go on tour, like there's just nothing that beats it. And because it was an unusual thing for us, I mean, you'd think, oh, international cricket tours all the time, but it wasn't the case for Scotland. We played as a county against other counties. So to actually go away and experience that tour life, I would love to have done it more, but I'm so grateful that I did have that experience. There's just nothing that beats it. It's just absolutely brilliant. You're just away and your sole purpose is to play cricket and be with the team, and yeah, best memories, definitely.
What was it like playing in the qualifiers for the 2017 Women's World Cup?
Awesome, obviously. I mean, playing cricket in Sri Lanka, being on tour with the team. Yeah, so that particular tournament, I was opening the batting for Scotland. Absolutely up for the challenge of what that was. First time playing against the likes of South Africa and Pakistan and Bangladesh. It's so annoying because I've always felt I've had what it takes to play at the highest level. And those opportunities, that was the only time I ever got an opportunity. I had one opportunity in my lifetime to play South Africa and one time to play Pakistan. So, it is what it is. But I do remember both innings vividly, especially the South Africa one, opening the batting with an Ishmael bowling at me. She bounced me. First time she bounced me, 4 runs. Thank you very much. But no, the first one was off the top of my bat. Second one, I actually connected a full-on pull shot for 4. Then she bounced me again, which fair play to her. Like, she didn't give up. So I've just hit 8 runs of Ishmael, like fastest female bowler in the world at that point. But then I got out trying to pull again, and as I top edged it, and the keeper's like, to be fair, done an absolute screamer and run back and done a diving catch. But I remember I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was the best innings of my life. And I remember going off and I had all this adrenaline. I couldn't calm down. I was just so excited. In hindsight, with all of the kind of learning I've done now with mindset and all that kind of stuff, would have been great for me to have calmed down, maybe ducked and, thought a bit more. But in the moment, I was just absolutely loving it. But then it was over and it was just like, oh, and I never got that feeling again, which is what it is. But I absolutely loved it.
And when you travel to countries like Sri Lanka, do you immerse yourself in the culture at all?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've actually been to Sri Lanka a handful of times before. It's one of my favorite countries in the world. People are really accommodating, really kind. I like the kind of the Buddhist side of things. So going to the temples and I really enjoy that sort of the mindfulness element of the culture as well. Food's amazing. But yeah, I think it's important that, we're going to play cricket, but yeah, you're being hosted by a culture and making the effort to get to know them, to understand and ask questions. It expands your learning, if anything. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I love traveling and I love cricket, so winning really.
And then this is a bit of a political question too. So obviously what you've achieved is phenomenal, but do you feel you get the same respect that your male counterpart perhaps would get for the same achievements?
I think if I was to have to say yes or no, I am the person that I love to sit on the fence around most things, to be honest. But I'd say no, unfortunately. And I think there's some huge work to be done, I guess, cultural change. So, for me though, which I think is really important to remember, is I still managed to play the highest level that was available to me in Scotland. So the achievement is no different. So in that sense, you can keep it pretty simple. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to be seen on the same level. And, like I said, I got one opportunity to play against South Africa. That's the way we were. But, had those opportunities been greater, had it been the case now where we've got with the professional structure in England and there's going to be more opportunities to train full time. I've never been able to fully focus and train full time. We've never been paid to play. It's always been a battle to get tours on for women because the funding wasn't being allocated. So, and all that kind of stuff. But yet we still persevered and we still stepped on the pitch. And if we hadn't done that, the game wouldn't be where it was today. And I'm absolutely not trying to say, give myself credit or anything like that. But I'm just saying, if you look at it in a different lens, if you look at it through the lens of us and the time that we were playing, it's an absolutely fantastic achievement. And that's my message to anybody in the same boat as me, is to be really, really proud. Because if you don't believe it was an achievement, then how can you expect anybody else to? And I think you should be really proud of what you achieved and talk about it.
100%, because that's the answer I was hoping you were going to give to be fair, because I think the work that does go on behind the scenes and players like yourself who have paved the way need to be recognised. And at the same time, obviously, like you say, you're super proud of what you've achieved, but just getting that level of respect from other people as well, I think is so important. Because if you were a man, perhaps you would be getting, oh my God, you play for Scotland. And I feel like that noise isn't perhaps as amplified in the women's space at the moment. And that's an area that like Alex and I are both really passionate about, is actually shouting about stories like yourself and be like, look, this is what she's achieved. Let's make some noise. Let's give you the credit that you should have got back when you were playing. How have you found like the media coverage around kind of perhaps making your debut to your whole kind of career with Scotland?
Minimal to zero, I'll be honest. And that's not, I've got no resentment for those around at the time, because I think it, like I said, it was deeply embedded and still is deeply embedded in our culture. And yeah, I think you'll know that I'm quite vocal on social media, and I am not egotistic. I am not like, oh, look at me. Like, that's not what it is. And I think when you get to know me, you would understand that. I'm doing what I guess should be happening for others and myself, but it's not about me. It's not about me, but giving myself that, because I am proud of what I've achieved, and I think I've got an opportunity to show others that, you know, to be proud, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with being proud. And also, you know, through my new role as women and girls manager at Bucks is amplifying the stories of women as much as I can. So I've got, in partnership with Oxfordshire and Berkshire next week, I've organised a Q&A with the Vipers, and I'm, you know, shouting about Georgia Adams and Charlotte Taylor and Charlotte Edwards on our Instagram page, got their faces right there. You know, so when we look at, you know, as an organisation, we look at that social media page and we see women and men, and we also see people from diverse backgrounds as well. You know, and this is not, what's the word? I'm not criticising Middlesex, for instance, but one thing I did notice about their newsfeed when I was a player was that it was very male dominated, and I noticed that. And it would be the odd post for a woman. Why does it always have to be just one post? In, you know, why can't it be equal? You know, whenever you do a media video, you just put the token female in. Well, why shouldn't it be 50%? Or, you know what I mean? At least not look like you're just putting a woman in because she's a woman for the sake of the fact she's a woman. Rant over.
Honestly, I fully back that and appreciate that too, because Middlesex did post out their 175-year anniversary, and I might have jumped a little bit because I was like, oh my god, there's only one woman on this thread, and I think it was Naomi Datani, and then it turns out there wasn't just one out of about, say, 15 to 20 kind of people. They replied back, oh no, there's actually Beth Morgan too. And I was kind of like, wow, is that something to celebrate? Like, you've only got 2 women there in a long history of potential players that you could draw upon.
Yeah, and again, it's not personal. I think it's cultural, and it's, you know, I'm sure there's lots of people that add their voices to these kind of decisions, and we're talking about it because we want to make a difference, we want to change it. And, you know, that's one example, and there are plenty of other examples where that is happening. I think if everybody was to go and look at, you know, county news feeds and other news feeds, and it would be similar. But I guess it's always good to focus on the positives, and things are changing, and hopefully in my new role I can start to influence in any small way that I possibly can. But we've got to come together, and I think what you guys are doing is fantastic, and you're really amplifying the voices of female cricketers and people that work in the women's game, and yeah, you're gonna be making a huge difference, so thank you.
Oh, honestly, you'll make me cry in a minute. I'm a very emotional person.
Yeah, me too.
Alex hates
Let's not all start crying on the podcast, but it's okay to cry, by the way.
Honestly, Alex is the cool one and I'm the emotional one, so
compliment each other.
I'm just cringy, but
I also wanted to ask, do you think that's why people from, say, the ethnic minorities don't really make it to the top level in cricket, because there's not really that representation seen?
It's certainly a factor. I mean, yeah, I think it does come back to you can't be what you can't see. So taking back to my story and not seeing a woman at all, whether it was a white woman or a woman from an ethnically diverse background, that, you know, they weren't there to be seen. I think that is definitely one element, and I think if you can, you know, amplify those people's voices and get those stories out there, that is certainly one thing. But I think it's deeper than that. I think with when you talk about diversity, and we've got to pull down all those barriers. We've got to find out what they are, and that's again something through my role that I can look into, and what is it exactly that's stopping these diverse communities getting into the pathway. And yeah, it's a huge issue that I don't have the answer to, but one which I'm going to work really, really hard at trying to support and help.
Like you say, it's culture, isn't it? And it's just being more conscious of the decision-making processes and ensuring, like you say, across media channels, that it is more representative of the people who work in the industry and the players that are part of that particular club. Because I know from like being at Somerset and everything, it was a clash between, well, the Somerset channel is Somerset, and then there's the county board, and that's where you women and girls sit. You're on the county board side, you're not the club. So I know there's lots of politics behind the scenes and stuff. So have you had to deal with any kind of politics at the moment within your new job, or has it been quite plain sailing?
To be honest, I think, yeah, it's been plain sailing so far. I think that's possibly representative of the time we are in, so positive. And I've been welcomed with open arms and gone out dealing with clubs and so far it has been really positive, I'll be honest. I think let's just see how it goes, but I'm waving the flag for women and diversity, and I'm not going to be a bystander, put it that way. So I will be actively trying to make a difference in what I do.
But if you could just give us your job title and obviously where.
Yeah, so I'm Women and Girls Manager for Buckinghamshire Cricket. Yes, so as Women and Girls Manager for Bucks, I'm working essentially overseeing all of the kind of strategy areas. So that's clubs, schools, pathway, and our urban stuff as well. So it's a very broad role and one which I've kind of got the opportunity to shape, which is really exciting. And a lot of it is going to be working effectively with others and empowering others to do delivery, because there's only so much I can do. But I think for me, it's I want it to be really clear for whoever you are as a girl, wherever you're from, whatever situation you're in, it's really clear where you can get involved and that there's a diverse range of offering. It's clear where the pathway is, so where you could potentially lead to and what the steps are. And also I think for clubs and community hubs and wherever cricket is happening, that it's welcoming communities and it's family friendly, because at the end of the day, and yes, I'm competitive, believe me, I'm competitive, but cricket and sport is about getting active. It's about enjoyment and fun and being able to be yourself, express yourself, and it should be something that uplifts your mood.
Do you think your coaching experience will help you in this role?
Definitely. I'm going to get involved as a coach because that is a skill that I have and it's a skill that I can bring to the role. And I think we've got a fantastic managing director and he's very much about shaping the role to a person. So what your skills are and bringing those out. And so one thing will be delivering some coaching in the pathway. Another thing will be going and supporting club coaches, so giving them some extra ideas to help expand what they're doing. I think coach education and tutoring, all those kind of things that I'm really keen to get involved with. But I think also like just the sort of general characteristics and things I've learned and adopted from being a coach, and is getting to know people, understanding the person and building relationships and creating rapport, because whatever you do, I think that's the most important thing. Trust underlies everything. And as I'm going out there new to this role, I've got to find ways to ask the right questions, listen to understand, and really find out what those issues are, what the barriers are, so that I can best help.
And what was your entry point into coaching? What motivated you and how did you first get involved?
This is simple. I loved cricket. So anything that had cricket on it, I went and did. But it happens to be that I wasn't clever enough at the time to make the connection, but I've always been passionate about helping people. Like this comes from my grandma, actually. She was always raising money and raising funds through CAFOD, which is a Catholic organisation that sends money and supports people in Africa. So I was kind of seeing all of that stuff from a young age. So I've always had this kind of want to help people less fortunate than me. I'm not sure if that's a PC term, but that's how I used to see it. I used to want to help people. And then but coaching, it genuinely it was cricket, and I just wanted to do anything to do with cricket. But I soon, realized the connection and how I actually get to do everything that is what I am through cricket and coaching. And that's helping others reach their potential. And that is genuinely what motivates me.
When you went into doing your coaching and everything, was it quite an easy process? Do you have any challenges to overcome?
Well, I was the only girl on my first 2 coaching qualifications, but I wouldn't say that was a barrier. I'm making it as a point just to see what it was like at the time. But I think I got so used to it. Like all my cousins are boys. I was, playing cricket as the only girl in my club side. So actually, that wasn't a barrier. That was just the state as it was. And I think I was accepted because of my ability as a player. I was a county player at the time, and I don't look back on it and see it as a barrier at the initial stages. I think the barriers come to play when you've got your qualifications and you're then trying to get roles and opportunities, and it seems to be the reason that you don't get them is because you're a woman, because you've got the same qualifications and experiences as someone else who happens to be a man and who happens to get the opportunities. I found that happened a lot.
Do you think there's the value in the kind of the women's only kind of coaching qualifications? Because I've seen they've popped up quite a lot more recently, and female only umpiring courses. Is that a good way to introduce more women into the game, do you think?
I think if people find it is a barrier to sort of to go and train and learn to be a coach amongst men, then yes, but I'd also counteract that and say, well, if we keep separating it, is that just not going to keep amplifying the issue? So, I'm on my level 4 right now with one other female, and yeah, I mean, I think that's brilliant, because we get to show our, who we are, and share our perspective as equals with other male coaches, and that's what it needs to be. But if we need that extra bit of support and do some female only coaches, if that is what is required, then brilliant. I think it's probably asking female coaches, what do you want? What is your preference? Is it a female only course? Then of course, then let's do that. But the overall aim is to be equally respected. And, I'd love to see that a female coach can go and coaching the men's team, because that's true diversity. It's not just female coaches coaching females and working with females, because then we just have like women's here and men here, and it would be completely separate. And, we've all got something to offer, no matter who we are.
That's such a good answer, because I think the most important thing is, like, say, ask those coaches or ask for players, and that's where I kind of put all my research, is to get those voices, and then I learn rather than to assume. So definitely, I'll pass you across to Alex.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier briefly, I think it was, that when you started coaching or getting your coaching qualifications, I think you were playing county cricket alongside it. So I just wanted to know, how easy is it to get your qualifications whilst playing county cricket?
Good question. I mean, I didn't have a choice, and I think things are a lot easier when you're passionate about them. So, if it's a reason to get out of bed in the morning and you want to do it, you'll make time for it. And yeah, I mean, in hindsight, in an ideal world, maybe I could have had a professional cricket career and then moved into coaching. But actually, there's a lot to be said about having something else while you're a professional cricketer. And I suppose that just leads on to some advice I'd like to give, which is, if you're a young girl now, or somebody that's just going into professional cricket, that it does have expiry date. So as much as, like, maybe I'd have liked my career to go in different ways, I think that having something else that you're passionate about and that you do is really important. So a coaching qualification alongside playing could genuinely be a really good thing. And I think that if you can fit that in with your training, then brilliant.
And then you've obviously launched Rae Cricket Coaching as well. So tell us a bit about that. How did that idea first come around? And of course, on social media, you're using that platform really well to inspire young people, older people, to just pick up a bat and a ball.
I'll be honest, I couldn't get a job. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to take matters into my own hands. So I just had all of this passion to work in cricket and to make a difference, but I wasn't really getting the platform. So I created it for myself and created Rae Cricket Coaching. And yeah, it was the best decision. It's kind of evolved into something slightly different now, but initially, I just couldn't get a full-time job in cricket for the life of me. I'd got down to second, if you want to call it that, for a director of cricket's role, and that was the final straw. I was like, right, I've tried, I've almost got a job, and yeah, I'm just going to start my own business. And yeah, it was brilliant. I ended up in India 2 weeks after I launched it, delivering a camp, which was just, one of the best experiences ever. And it's been really great for my confidence getting that experience and knowing that, I kind of started something and things started to happen. It's been really good. So yeah, now it's, obviously I've got a full-time job in cricket, which is great. But now it's a platform for me to share ideas, as well as, when I do have time, when the job allows, to continue coaching. And let's just see where it goes. But yeah, that's me. That is my philosophy and everything kind of through Rae Cricket Coaching.
I think that story will really resonate with people, because speaking from personal experience, graduating university, it's not been easy to find a job in journalism. A lot of the times they say you need experience, but how do you get experience if you can't get a job? So it's a never-ending cycle. So I think what you've done is really admirable, and it's really inspiring, and it shows that there are other ways to get to where you want to be.
First of all, thank you. If I can inspire at least one person, as cheesy as that sounds, then that's absolutely brilliant. I think I do agree with that. It's a challenge, because I was kind of like, I'm getting told I don't have enough experience, but where do I get that experience from? And it's still the case now. I mean, I have a job that I'm hugely passionate about and absolutely loving it. I did apply for a couple of jobs before that, and the feedback I was getting back was, you're not experienced enough. But it is, as a female coach, it's been really, really hard to get that experience. And like you said, it goes across different disciplines as well. And there are different ways. You've got to think outside the box. So another thing as well is, start your own business, give it a crack. That's one thing. But I think networking is really, really important. And I started to put myself out there a bit more, with the idea of I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And just connecting to different people, different organizations. And the more you broaden that, the more you get these opportunities that come about. And that could be talking on a podcast. It could be becoming an ambassador for a charity, which is exactly what happened to me. I'm ambassador for 2 charities now. And through then you meet other people. And I think, giving up is not an option. So just, keep trying. And I think I probably stayed silent for too long. And I think through Rae cricket coaching and everything, it kind of started to show what I was going through in a different way. I was being proactive, but people start asking questions of, okay, who is this female coach doing this? That's really interesting. And what's her story? And, by speaking about the barriers that are in our way, first of all, there'll be other people that identify with it, but there are lots of kind people out there that will step up and say, tell you what, I've got an opportunity for you. So I guess that's kind of my advice in a long-winded way.
100%, because your blog that you recently published as well, this line really rang true to me. It's the opinions of others do not define you. And I think for me growing up especially, I related to that comment. I messaged you straight away, thank you so much for publishing your blog firstly, because you had a sense of vulnerability. You put out all of your feelings and emotions there unapologetically. So it was truly relatable in all its kind of senses. But at that point as well, for me playing cricket, growing up as a kid, people were always having a go at my action. And it'd been filmed, it'd been checked, it was absolutely fine. But that's what kind of ruined cricket for me, because it was constantly, oh, you're a chucker, you're throwing it. And it just ruined the absolute fun out of it. But going back to the point of that blog, what's your purpose? Tell us a little bit about the motivations behind writing it, and obviously the feedback that you've received since.
Obviously, it was a difficult time, and a lot of time has passed since. I guess I'm in a place where I've changed my beliefs and thoughts about that experience. I can look at it as something I grew through, and that wasn't the case. So I think the reason the blog genuinely just came to me in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep and I just wrote. So it wasn't planned, but I think what's happened is I've got to a point where I've got clarity. And for me, I quite often do selfie videos for my socials and stuff, but they're never planned. It's just, I get something just happens. You probably get it as well, Hannah, when you write and stuff. It's I need to write this and I need to share this with people because I think this could really help someone. And I just get this kind of passion to do it. And it's the same when I record a video. I just talk and you kind of get into this flow state. I can't plan stuff. I really can't. If someone was go write this right now, I wouldn't be able to do it. And I've tried to commit to blogs before, and as soon as I say I'm going to do a weekly blog, it all goes to pot, and I probably do one once every 5 years. So I don't do anything anymore, even with Rae cricket coach or anything. It's just when I get inspired, I'll do something, and it's authentic and it means something. But reflecting on that, why did I kind of find my purpose, or how did I find my purpose? I think, unfortunately, and it's not something that I wish upon anyone, but I think getting to a point where you feel the lowest of the low is a really hard place to be. But what it does, or what it did, was enable me to, everything was stripped back, everything seemed to have gone, and I had to just really dig deep and see what was inside. And I think being in the pandemic, it was a case of, well, what can I do? What can I do? What is going to be a reason for me to keep getting out of bed in the morning? And it came back to that feeling that I had when I was a child, which was, I want to help people. And I don't really know why I want to. I can't dig any deeper to get the answer to that. But that's just what motivates me. I've been through, I think everything that's happened in my life, all the challenges that I've been through, happened for a reason, made me who I am today. And if I can help others kind of realize their potential that's essentially what it is. And it genuinely is what I believe my purpose is. And so when I'm doing my job, whatever that is, new jobs in the future, when I'm playing cricket, when I'm coaching, when I'm just randomly sat in a cafe, that's my purpose.
And I think what's great about your blog is that it resonates with a lot of people. It resonated with me. I've never played cricket at any level, but to me it resonated on a journalistic level, because there have been so many times since I graduated that I've doubted myself. Is this the right career path? Should I have gone down another route? And I think, like you say, it takes you to hit rock bottom and reassess, to realise that actually, no, you're on the right path. There's a plan for everyone. It's just going to take you a little bit longer to reach where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I remember the second part of the question now, which was the response of people, which you've just reminded me. So yeah, obviously I'm really happy that it resonated with both of you on different levels. And I've, I had a couple of messages, a couple of people WhatsApp me, a couple of people DM me, and it all resonated with people in different ways. But I think the key message there is, we tell our stories, we tell our truth, we speak our truth, and it's going to impact people in different ways. But yeah, and some people might feel inspired to then tell their truth, or someone might feel inspired to not give up on the dream that they were chasing. There's so many messages, and I could talk about them all, but yeah, I've now lost my trail of thought.
So just following up on that as well, obviously if you don't want to talk about it, absolutely fine, but obviously with your county kind of career playing for Middlesex, the next kind of step was that regional setup for you. So are you okay to talk about obviously the disappointment there and that conversation that you had with that particular coach? Obviously you don't need to name drop or anything like that. Are you okay to talk about that, or would you prefer to?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about it. I think I'm in a real positive place, and everything that I say will be with that kind of lesson lens and what we learn from our experiences. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about it.
Perfect. Yeah, just because I'm thinking some of our listeners would have followed your career journey, and I know some of them definitely were upset for you during that period of time as well, when perhaps we thought you would be getting one of the regional places and obviously it didn't quite happen. So how did you deal with that disappointment, and going forwards, do you still have ambitions to get into that setup?
Yeah, great questions. How did I deal with it? Thankfully, I've got an incredible support network of people around me, which I'd kind of start to develop over the last few years, and again, by putting yourself out there and asking questions of people and talking to people, like it all benefits, because at some point down the line those authentic relationships are really, really meaningful when you go through challenge. Again, you do kind of know who your friends are when you go through difficult situations, and I'm just so lucky that I've got so many amazing people around me. So that was one element, but obviously there is only so much that other people can do in terms of support, and it was really challenging. And I think I kept on getting these kind of blows that knocked me back, but I kept on getting back up and channeling it through cricket. So when the season was happening, the process of the regional selection was quite blurry, and I get that, because it was new, COVID was happening, and it was never going to be perfect straight away. But we didn't know. It was always like some people had been selected, and then you kind of heard some spaces were left, and then it was kind of like some counties were putting like tri-series on, and they were going to select from that. So I was like, well, okay, so I've got these fixtures coming up for Middlesex, so I've just got to play the best that I can. So the kind of knockbacks were happening, but I was still getting up and just going out into the middle and just really just giving absolutely everything through my cricket, and I was performing, like I was scoring runs, and despite everything, I hope that certainly shows to me, and to be honest, that's all that really matters. I know that I can perform when everything's against me, and those innings that I played for Middlesex mean absolute most to me, and the best innings that I've played in my life. And and that if I never play again, I've got that to remember. And I didn't leave anything behind. So that's kind of one thing, channeling it through the game and all that, talking to people about what I was going through. Honestly, like so much support. I had so much support, and because I have spoken to the Samaritans a couple of times before, and I did actually end up calling the Samaritans, because even when you have a support network, sometimes you start to feel when things are really quite bad, it's a lot to sort of be able to put that burden on others. So yeah, I used that support and had a really nice conversation with somebody who just listened, and it was amazing. So yeah, and I appreciate this is sort of getting into a bit of a deeper level, but if anybody is ever thinking whether that's a good thing to do, absolutely go for it. It really helped me in that moment. But yeah, that's basically what I did.
Honestly, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm just going to steal a question and then I'll hand it over to Alex. But just following up on that as well, do you still have hopes to play within the regional structures this upcoming season and potentially in the future?
It's a very interesting one, because we talk about it, if you have a dream, like just keep going and keep going and keep going. But it's not that I'm giving up on that. Okay, but like I said, my purpose is about helping others and facilitating others, which I can do through my coaching and through my job. And the reason why I might say that I'm not chasing becoming a professional cricketer is because I lost the enjoyment of the game through the process. And for me, that I do believe I have it within me. I do believe I have the ability, but that enjoyment went through that process, which is why I walked away from Middlesex, because I wasn't enjoying it anymore. Simple as, it's not personal to anybody. It's just that I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And that's massive for me. But I mean, I'm so excited to, whenever I get the opportunity to pick up a bat again, I will be playing at any given opportunity. I'm not kind of seeing it as that goal like I was before. But if I perform and if something happens, then that would be amazing. So yeah, that's the best answer I can give you, really, to be honest. Yeah.
I wanted to know, how mentally challenging is it to be told by your coach that basically you're not going to be picked for regionals because they don't think you can cope, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like those of you who didn't read the blog, that was kind of the most, I guess, emotional part of it when I explained that. I tried to explain how I felt. And I really, really didn't expect it. Like, I have had a history of struggling with my mental health, just like some people might have had a physical injury, but I'd overcome it. And I'd got to such a good place, and I'd had support, and I trained so hard over the winter. And you know, the coaching staff, my team, all saw that. I'd paid money for a PT. I'd been training throughout the day. I'd been trying to replicate the life of professional cricketer for myself. So I'd been working really, really hard, and my mental health hadn't been something that had gotten in the way. So I didn't expect that to be the reason. And also, from a human point of view and from a mental health advocate and as a coach, that to say that as well, I just felt like in that moment, it was honestly like just the biggest kick in the stomach, and like something inside of me just broke, like just in that moment, because it was just awful, you know. And I just didn't expect it, not from where you expect there's a sort of duty of care. And it's like, say, if the people close to you, or people that you sort of trust, you know, say something that they should know would be hurtful, is worse. I mean, somebody on the street who I don't know says that to me, then it doesn't matter. Like, but it was so unexpected. And again, it's not personal. And what I've learned through doing my level 4 as well is that we've all got different personalities, different preferences, and it's not something that I don't understand it, and I'm hurt by it, but for whatever reason, that person at that point didn't have the understanding that what was being said and the reasons and everything, what wasn't the right thing to say to this particular player at this particular time. And that's, yeah, it comes down to understanding your players, and maybe with the new professional setup, coaches are going to have more opportunity to understand their players on the way that they need to, so that you can give meaningful feedback that isn't going to cause the issues that it caused me.
I think that's so important. There's such a key message there in the delivering of potentially negative news that you do know is going to upset somebody, and just how you do that is so important, especially from that coach position. The final question just from me is, what are your hopes for 2021?
Good question. And I'll start with the job. I hope that once we get back out and deliver, that myself and the team at Bucks have managed to create lots of opportunities for young girls and all the way up to women of any age and ability to play cricket and enjoy cricket. That's going to be something to look forward to. Whenever I get the opportunity to train again and play cricket, I just can't wait. I've got no expectation as to when that'll be, but yeah, absolutely can't wait. I mean, hopefully it'll go better than the first time I played after the last lockdown, when I got run out without facing. But even if that happens, it is what it is. What else in 2021? Well, continue with the level 4. Hopefully, actually meeting people in my job. I've not met anybody face to face, actually. It's all been through a screen. But yeah, but then from a simple point of view is hugging my friends and family that I haven't hugged in so long. We're all in the same storm but different boats. That's what I like to call it. Yeah, and just those simple things like connectivity, community. We've all been missing it. And I guess finally that COVID is something that is under control. People are vaccinated, and we're living happier and healthier lives, and we'll be able to do more things. Fingers crossed.
Honestly, that's perfect. I've said perfect again, but I'm unapologetically saying perfect. Such a good message. Hopefully young girls, boys can engage with it and actually hear what you're saying and really resonate with the message that's coming across. So thank you for your honesty as well, because it takes a very special person to be able to be open like that.
Thank you. Honestly, it's been a pleasure, and thanks for inviting me. I've absolutely loved it, and I wish you both well with the podcast, with your lives, and I'll continue to support what you do in any way I can. And yeah, if you ever question the impact that you're having with this, don't, because you 100% are going to make a huge difference to a lot of people. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I had such a meltdown about that the other day.
Just quickly, would you be willing to do like a few quick fire questions? It's something we like to do at the end of the podcast, just like fun questions not related to cricket at all.
No, honestly, I've got all the time in the world. So yeah, go for it.
So Alex is really good at these questions. So Alex, would you like to do some quick fire questions?
Sure. What's your favourite genre of music?
Oh, I'm so annoying. Like, I just don't have one. I'm like open-minded and love all music.
Do you have a favourite singer or artist?
Ed Sheeran.
Last book you read?
Probably Harry Potter.
Last film you watched?
Mean Girls.
Last TV show you binge watched?
Oh, The Bold Type. Totally recommend it. It's on Amazon, but recommend it. Women's empowerment all the way.
Anna, have you got any questions?
Well, mine's always your favourite sledging term, because I always find it funny.
As you can probably imagine, I'm not a sledger, so I can't even answer that. I'll probably think of something when we go off the call.
My favourite one's always big swing, no ding.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of any right now. I'm really sorry.
We got one the other day that was it Dalmatians and spots or something? That's on Roberta's podcast.
I can't think quickly enough. That's the problem. In the heat of the battle, just focusing on the game, like to think of to sled just doesn't even cross my mind.
What's your favourite compliment then?
Favourite compliment in cricket?
Yeah, if that's a thing.
Is that a thing?
No.
I don't know, maybe we could make it a thing. Instead of sledging, we should just compliment one another instead.
Well, I remember hitting a shot, like, this is why it's really annoying that there's no visibility, like, or filming of games. Although, to be fair, this was a club game in New Zealand, so there's a long way till club games are getting filmed. But I hit a six, right? I hit a six over mid-on. Probably the best shot I've ever played in my life. And everybody on the pitch just was in utter silence. Like, and I thought that's probably the best thing that could happen in a cricket context. It was that good. It was like, what's the name of the cricket club? I wish I could remember the name of the cricket club in Auckland, because they have like an outdoor cricket nets thing, and it went onto the roof of it, but I can't remember the name. I want to say Cornwall. Let's go with that.
I think my favourite sledge was in the Ashes when Mitchell Johnson went to Jimmy Anderson. Why are you chirping now, mate? Not getting any wickets. And then he bowls Peter Siddle, and then he just does the classic ring on That's probably my fave.
Have you got any more quick fires, Alex? Because if not, I've got a couple.
Yeah, you go.
Favourite tea item?
Tea item
For cricket teas. So what's your favourite go-to?
I like hot food at cricket teas. So like if there's some pizza or like some chili and rice or some pasta that's hot, I'm straight in there. I love hot food.
Favourite cricket ground?
Probably gonna have to be Lords.
And the favourite team you've played for?
This would have to be Takapuna. So a team I played for in Auckland, club team in New Zealand. Just a lovely group of girls. I really felt, comfortable to be myself, and we had a great laugh, and it was one of the most fun seasons I've had.
Perfect. That's all from me.
Just quickly, Olivia, where can our listeners find you on social media if they want to find out more about you, more about Rae Cricket Coaching?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter and Instagram as OllyRae14. Pretty sure they're both the same across. And yeah, you should see links to Rae Cricket Coaching on there as well, and there's a website. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm always promoting what I do on my personal accounts, and they're all open as well. So yeah, if you want to engage, then great. If it's not for you, then also great.
But yeah, thank you so much, and stay in touch, and thank you so much for everything you're doing for the women's game, cricket generally, and of course for supporting our podcast.
All good. Well, thanks again for having me, and thank you for everything you're doing.
Massive thank you to Olivia for coming on and being a guest on the podcast, and for being so open and honest about her struggles. It's also amazing to hear what great things she's been up to during lockdown, and how that actually led to her getting a job to help implement change. And to all our listeners, if you want to keep up to date with everything we're doing, you can follow us on Twitter at WCricketChat and on Instagram at Women's Cricket Chat. And if you want to give us a like on Facebook, we are Women's Cricket Chat. And if you wanted to give our personal Twitters a follow, Hannah is at HannahT1194 and I'm at Alex Jane Pereira. This has been Women's Cricket Chat. Tune in next time.